Hello, you're listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club, and you're most welcome.
Hello, my name's Paul Carmichael.
And I'm Allan.
And welcome once again down to the Rambling Club. It's Friday, it's 5 to 5, and you find us in the shed and with a commotion outside. Al, who is it?
I don't know, there are raised voices and some sort of logistical snafu as far as I can tell.
Oh, we'd better open the door and see what that oval will be.
Now, it is. I have no problem with the nudity, but the kind of things that you want to put in the font are just unacceptable and would take too much cleaning. So I wondered if he could use your shed, because already it's in a bit of a kind of decrepit state. It does look like some young people have been in here, well, all manner of hoo-ha.
I mean, we haven't got a font. We could possibly use the T-urn, I suppose.
Possibly, I would. So that would be all right for you, James, do sailor?
Well, gentlemen, as you're both here, maybe we could settle it in a different way. What about if you were to come for a bit of a ramble with us, and maybe we'll see if we can talk these problems out?
Yes, I think that's a very good idea, actually.
A ramble, you say?
Your ramble?
Well,
You'll want to pop that back in, by the way, because some of those blackberry bushes, frankly...
Oh, give me a second.
At this point, Robin regretted working with the method actor.
A ramble, I say, it's lovely.
I think we'd best give the machine a whirl and see where we end up. Off we go.
Tony's enchanted bingo machine. A curious contraption of cogs, levers, and glowing buttons that hums with ominous energy. This machine generates 3 completely random numbers. These numbers are fed directly into the Dewey Decimal System, the arcane reference system by which books and their contents are categorized. In this way, the bingo machine conjures from thin air a topic of conversation so enthralling, so wildly unexpected, that it leaves the members of the Rambling Club both bewildered and vaguely excited. Thus, another evening is saved from the brink of boredom, thanks to Tony's marvellous, possibly haunted and entirely inexplicable bingo machine.
Well, here we are in the great outdoors, ready to begin our first ramble today, and the numbers are...
4, 9, 4.
494.
And that is Ural Altaic, Paleo-Siberian Dravidian.
I'd like to point out that contrary to everybody else's memory of this, we've had that topic before.
Have we?
We have. I had to read it last time.
Did we actually get somewhere with it?
Still not learned. Both of us work, as you know, extensively for Duolingo, and I'm rather surprised that you haven't managed to...
Ich bin verloren.
Good God.
So, where did you get to last time then? Because obviously I don't want to do any of the Ural, Albaic, Paleo-Siberian, Dravidian anecdotes that you did last time.
No.
So just run me through which Paleo-Siberian anecdotes you did last time.
Well, as you know, Tony was quite a keen amateur linguist, so we did actually make a slight amount of headway with Nordic languages and things like that. I don't think we got anywhere near the topic, but he discussed some linguistic...
Yeah. Some very interesting thing. Paleo-Siberian.
Yes.
Great big cats with sharp teeth. Immediately.
Why do you sound like Ken Bruce when you say Paleo-Siberian?
I don't know.
I think he sounded...
Paleo-Siberian.
Yeah. There is a little bit of Ken Bruce.
Ken Bruce?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Paleo-Siberian languages. Well, I've just been handed something that may help. So we're talking about...
No, that's Paleo... There's no reason... There's no languages there. It says Dravidian, Paleo-Siberian, and Ural Altaic. So you need to put all of those in to then find out how that all comes together.
Right, but it must refer to... Right, where are we?
Right, why? It might refer to areas. It might refer to in terms of what the Siberian landscape was like in Paleo time. But there's a lot of different possibilities. To merely lunge for the language is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, there's approximately 250 million Dravidian people, but if we want any more information than that, we might struggle a little.
Well, none of them are here, are they?
I don't think so, no.
We should... Hang on, I'll check.
I always remember Diddy Dravid Hamilton, the ancient Paleo Radio 1 DJ.
Great mates with Sue Pollard.
Wonderful hair. Not his, but wonderful.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing, isn't it, when you go back, if you watch Talking Pictures, and you suddenly go, everyone was bald. I mean, they still are now. All the comedians now have hair plugs and stuff like that. Yeah. But it is that fascinating thing, isn't it, of going, oh my God.
Leading actors, yeah. Yeah, which
don't just go,
no.
Roger lives it. Good Lord, Roger lives it. I can see the gauze.
Yeah, which doesn't seem to have been, isn't so much the case these days. I remember my granddad was very, very proud of his comb-over. Extremely proud to keep that there.
Tony used to tell a story of going to see Charlton Heston playing Sherlock Holmes in the West End. And for the part, he wore a wig. But he refused to remove his own wig to have the part's wig plastered over the top of it. So whenever he turned round too quickly, his hair wouldn't change direction.
Ah, yes, the curious case of the wig in the night time. Yeah. But it is, that's because I think Man for All Seasons as well was similar.
Oh.
In terms of the fact that he had to wear his wig and bald cap. No, with Charlton Heston.
Of course, he played Cardinal Wolsey.
Played rather more wonderfully by Benjamin Whitrow beforehand, who's an actor we should all talk about more, Benjamin Whitrow.
Benjamin Whitrow is
very funny actor, could be very straight as well. He is absolutely wonderful in Man Down. Oh. He plays an elderly actor. He plays... Oh man, Man Down is so good. A friend of mine plays Milky, who at one point I think has a dog on one teat and a baby on the other.
It's a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, Benjamin Whitrow plays someone that Greg Davis thinks is a war veteran, and who milks him for every penny he can get out of him. So he'll do this play. It's fantastic.
Oh, Benjamin Whitrow was wonderful in After Henry with Prunella Skates as well. The interplay there. Oh, absolutely loved him.
Yeah, he's one of those actors that a lot of people might not be aware of, but you go, oh, hang on, who is that? And he was like, oh, yeah, he pops up in so many things.
Oh, absolutely. And I think maybe, now, this is a question then.
Hang on, who did he have a son with?
Oh.
And he's an actor now.
Yes.
The son, not the person he had the son with.
She's an actor as well.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Right.
It'll come to me.
Cardinal Richelieu.
Could well be.
It was Molly Sugden.
Okay. Does the fact that you had actors like Benjamin Whitrow who maybe they didn't stand out, did they? Because normal-looking people who might also just work in a bank or whatever were also on your telly in Elizabeth R. I wonder if that helped them to get work, because they could go and do a Colditz, and then they could do a Blake 7, because you go, I sort of recognise them, but they could look like a generic person as well who happened to be a good actor.
Whereas Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch in, I had never realised till quite recently that was her real nose.
Oh, really?
She really had a very, really beautiful thing, which is Margaret Hamilton was very aware of how scared children were of her. That she would, if she taught, she would immediately explain. There's a lovely clip of her on In the Neighbourhood, The Beautiful Day in the Neighbourhood, with Mr. Rogers, where she explains about how she becomes a witch, and all the time making sure that the children always know that it's play. And I think that is the mark of someone. But who was I thinking of? You remember Colin Jevons?
Yeah.
I don't think I told you about. I don't think last time I was on I told you about Colin.
No problem.
So Colin Jevons. You know Colin Jevons?
I know. Why do I know the name?
He was in House of Cards. He was Lestrade in Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Because the first thing when you were talking about actors of kind of smaller parts. Now he was very. Now you can stop me if you've heard this one before, but it won't stop me. So it turns out I never knew that I knew his son very well. And one day I was walking up a hill and I saw a man I saw my mate Barney, and I thought he's shaped a bit like Colin Jevons, which is how my mind works. And I imagine how your mind works.
It does, yeah.
I'm sure very often you go, good Lord, that man seems to have feet like Viv Stanchel. You know, all those kind of things.
Bernard Hepton I seem to see a lot.
Oh, yeah, everyone sees Bernard Hepton, the FTT, will not go away. And it was, again, I think the last time I was on, we talked about wigs, and Bernard Hepton's was the first toupee that I knew of, because my dad showed me a picture of Bernard Hepton and said, look, there's the gauze. in Secret Army. I don't believe he wore the toque when he was off stage. But Colin Jevons, right? So I said, Barney, I've just realised that you look a bit like Colin Jevons, and your name is Jevons. And I said, are you related? He went, yeah, he's my dad. I said, I've not seen your dad in anything for ages. He goes, no, he retired. He said he went to a psychic medium when he was 62, and she said he was going to die very soon. So he retired. So he could spend time with our mum. Anyway, so I met him in, I think it was December last year, and he's 95.
Yeah.
And he lives in this incredible cottage, a tiny little kind of wooden cottage in the middle of some woods. And as his other son was driving me there, as we turned into the woods, he went, and at this point you think, oh, the Jevons are going to murder me, right? So, the reason I bring it up is, one, he's a wonderful actor, and two, one of the reasons that I think he was always very often the best thing in what he was in, he has a very bad memory, and he was so worried about his memory he would never take a lead part. So he's an actor with the brilliance of a leading actor, but with a memory that says, can I have that part instead? And I thought that was, he did really, Ralph Richardson, this was very, Ralph Richardson took a shine to him. He was, this working class lad from Newport, and he said that, he told me this beautiful story where he said, Ralph Richardson, he said he would never give you a present. He'd always make it look like you were doing him a favour. He said, so he was on tour, like going around the world with Ralph Richardson. One day he said, Colin, could you come into my dressing room? There's something I need help with. And he went in, and he said, oh, Colin, I've got far too much tobacco and I don't know what to do with it. Could you take this tobacco for? And of course, it was the best tobacco in there. And he said the other thing he learned was, after he finished the tour, he thought, I must just find out what that tobacco was. And so he went into the tobacconist, and he said, yes, what do you want? He said, well, I'm after tobacco. Yes, well, what number is it? He said, oh, I don't have the number. He goes, well, we won't be able to help then. I mean, really obviously thought, who is this tramp? And he said, well, you might be able to, because it's Ralph Richardson's tobacco. And immediately going, oh, do come in. And he said, that was another thing that he was always learning, and was always the right side of. Oh, I know that I can't trust you, because until you knew that I'd worked with Ralph Richardson, you went, get out of the, well, please come in. But yeah, really fascinating.
It's the Stardust effect. So you notice it when people say, oh, do you know, pick a name. You go, oh, I don't know them, but I know them well enough to say hello in the street. And then suddenly you become more attractive, maybe not physically, but more attractive to speak to. Oh, because you've got a little bit of stardust on you from so-and-so.
Yes.
And I think Ralph Richardson, correct me if I'm wrong, I was either born or lived in Cheltenham for...
Yeah, he wasn't yet.
Yeah, which is where I was born. Back in 1990, don't look.
Also where Eric Morecambe died?
Yes, yeah.
At the hospital.
I've died there many times.
Just thinking about other people with their wigs, and an interesting one, again, Brian Murphy, who we talked about last time, who would wear a wig when he was on television in a comedy or a drama, but if you interviewed him, the wig came off, and he'd sit there without the wig on.
But he didn't have a wig in Georgia Mildred. He's quite bald in that.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he is, yeah. But there was still a toque there. There's a piece, and then everything would come off. So you got this really strange thing where he would wear them a bit like hats, whereas I know Anthony Ainley, the master in Doctor Who, had one, and again, if you wanted to apply it, you had to put it over the wig. So he would be sent away to...
Ainley more like hats. Much like Val Guest, known as Val Pest, according to Rob Basford. But because Herbert Lons is, I don't think we talked about Herbert Lons last time, but that's one of my favourites is, because Herbert Lons is very slight. And the reason he decided to have that is so it looks like he's both accepting he's bald, but he's also not as bald as actually he is. So no one's going to go, he must be wearing a wig, because you'd think the wig would come further down the forehead. But in fact, so yeah, Herbert Lom. I'd like to have met Herbert Lom. He's quality. Yes. And of course he was Dravidian. And Paleo-Siberian, well known, very much.
He got kicked out of a few clubs in Mayfair because of that, yeah. But no, I remember watching an episode of How To when I was probably about 12 with Fred Dinage. Fred Dinage unpeeled his toupee to show you how it was glued onto his head. And I looked at it and I thought, you're wearing a toupee? But you appear to have a bald man's comb-over when the toupee is on. What on earth is the point of this deception?
That's very odd. Very to the man, Fred Dutton is.
Somebody doesn't pick him out, you get the whole time.
No, he's on tour, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Talking about how he ended up writing the biography of the Cray twins. And the reason is that I don't know whether it was Reggie or Ronnie. One of them loved the afternoon quiz show he did, Gambit, and said, "He's who I want to write our biography." Because it's always an odd thing to kind of to see that. And Fred Dinage used to work on a TV show called The Priory on Channel 4. We would do these things where you would, because he was also the anchor for Southern TV, and then whatever that became, the other ones.
Did they ask you to do the Priory because you're a vicar?
No, there was. This was actually when I had my. You remember I fell out with the church rip. That was my version of Pasolini's Canterbury Tales. Which is why I'm going to be very strict on this. Which of course does have Robin Asquith in it, and also Adrian Street, the wrestler, and Tom Baker. So is one of the best films for 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Most wonderful thing. But how did we get there? Pasolini, because Priory, we would throw to him, and he would do things like he'd be stood on the beach at Southampton, and he would suddenly grab someone and go, "Oh, please, I'm meant to be interviewing a woman who's swimming across the sea, but it turns out she's not going to be here in time. So could you," and he'd hold their arm very tight, "could you just, I'm going to ask you a question, can you just pretend you just swam across from France?" And because they go, "Well, he's Fred Dinage from the..." Well, I mean, he is a proper... And he was so good at doing it. They go, "That's it, you just stay there," not letting them go. And so that, and they go, "So what was it like then?" I mean, it must be very, yes, it was very cold, yeah, and it was, and he had that perfect. I love those people where you just go, you both have this serious anchor kind of thing, but also the how comedic your own world is as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's that commitment to the bit.
Yeah,
Like when they have Raymond Baxter doing the commentary from Mornington Crescent on I'm Sorry I Hadn't a Clue. You was this great dignitas just doing something really silly for no reason.
Yeah. But you did used to get that much more, didn't you? Nationwide, which was on from the late 60s through the 80s. And it juggled the really serious heavyweight stuff with the totally frivolous. And it did it really well.
There's a sense of levity that ceases to exist in this world.
Yeah, that's it. We've got none of that now. Whereas there you get an interview where Thatcher was being pushed about the Belgrano and it being sunk. And then they would go to a skateboarding duck. But being treated just as seriously as a news item, which I thought was...
that is a very hard thing too, because I used to work on the last stages of Rich and Judy. I think we briefly talked about it last night, but there used to be these moments where you go, "No, that is too awkward." So that I remember I went on and I had to show favourite clips off the internet, 'cause it was like 25 years ago, whatever, right? And there was one of a man holding a puppy that then urinates in his face, right? You know, that. And it was the way in which we're, that's going to go through to next week then. Puppy urinating in that man's face. Now, 15 children have died of knife crime. And you go, no, they needed a little extra segue there.
So the way that works, as far as I gather, in the news, is that if you're telling a serious 15 schmetterlings were murdered today in Outer Mongolia, then the presenter will read it, the newsreader is sitting forward. And then there'll be a little smug intake of breath as they lean back, put one hand on the edge of the desk and say, "In other news, 15 children have found 15 different butterflies in Outer," whatever it may be. But there's a I don't know if there's something they taught, or it's just something that has become through the process of osmosis.
How it's done, because it's how you do it.
Yeah.
I did a very brief stint on Blue Peter a very long time ago. Worked on the floor.
Right, now you're from.
There you go. The disgrace that was that.
Very single.
But they were brilliant at those transitions, because all that you would do is you would just bring the inflection down, hold 2, 3, 4, now, and it is literally just inflection down, boom, boom. Off we go. And that was it. And it worked for some reason.
Have you seen that set of You Have Been Watching where Charlie Brooker is, because he's criticising the tonal shifts in the One Show. And he has, I think it's Richard Herring reading a piece that he's mocked up to be from the One Show's tonal shift. And it goes, And next up, Philippa Forrester is going to be riding a unicycle around the tuberculosis wing of the National Museum of Infanticide.
That's like that brilliant footage of Noel Edmonds, where he's on, what was that show called? Gwyneth Paltrow's Head in a Bog Jay, where everyone opens Deal or No Deal. And he makes fun of there's a family picture, and he kind of goes, "Oh God, look at him!" And she goes, "Yeah, it's my brother with Down syndrome." Eh? Yeah, what a fun it is. But there's no way, it's jarred terribly. He
tries, but there's no coming back there.
His ears are grinding.
At that point, you have to lean into it even further.
Just commit.
Yeah, just really go to town on this poor fucker.
I think if so 886, 887 and 888 are not used. So does that mean we go down or up?
Well, what it means, right, so, or I should just say, you find us in mid-conversation. The numbers are
8, 8, 6.
and the subject is... which is not used. So we've got a situation. We've got 8...
I think you need to roll again.
Do you think we... Well...
I think it's because otherwise this whole thing is clearly a setup.
Talk about things that aren't used.
Well, that's the thing, you see, because it will relate to... It will relate to modern literature in the ancient Greek language, and it'll be a subsection of that they've gone not interested in.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be that. So...
But I like that. Yeah, I like your idea. Things that are not used.
Or not used enough, or underused.
They've fallen into desuetude. Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as did the ancient Greek language, so I suppose there is a link there. But, go on, so in terms of things that aren't used...
Well, that thing that, things that you purchase or things that are around the house. I mean, what we have here is possibly a very strong Michael McIntyre routine in the making. And...
He just oosters.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I do have a collection of Out of Town with Jack Hargreaves there that I got 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, DVDs are that bit where you were on what used to be network DVD, and it's such a difficult thing, isn't it? Because I presume, look at your video, your DVD collection, that you are ADHD.
Oh.
And because you've got that bit, that hypermania that goes, oh, I'm really into this now. I need to buy everything involving Jack Hargreaves.
Yes.
And then your partner's saying, you don't need to go on the Jack Hargreaves auction site. Oh, my God. How many pipes have you bought? And that's only one of his socks. Yeah, well, he lost the other sock in a marsh. But I don't want one of Jack Hargreaves' socks in a frame. It's like the Peter Wingard auction that happened so dangerously close to lockdown. So we were all trapped at home, and we could all... And a friend of mine bought a picture of some owls that Peter Wingard had, and some of his costume rings. And that was
costume rings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, a costume ring. But it was Peter Wingard, so those rings anything could have been done. And it wasn't. It just, and all of that bit, the sudden desire for tat, where you then go, I've never watched that. I presumed I wanted to watch all of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah,
but it's not. This, by the way, is nothing anti Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's just
it's Jess's favourite show of all time.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, it's American. I can't do long-running American programs for some reason. I don't know what it is. Whereas the Cedar Tree, I'll demolish 200 episodes of that. No problem at all. Nothing happens in that program. Nothing.
Right, I'm just going to... You not keep talking. I'm going to go through your DVDs to decide which...
No, there isn't. No, this is the thing, you see, because you've got a soap opera about the Cedar Tree, which stands in this garden. There's no exterior filming at all in the whole thing. You never see the Cedar Tree. And then I think in the last episode someone says it's fallen down, and that's it.
Oh.
So you watched a 200-episode soap opera of Waiting for Godot?
Essentially, yeah, right. What it is it's Downton Abbey, stolen, obviously, but it's Downton Abbey with no money at all. You can't afford the actors.
So everybody's in the servants' quarters?
Oh, well, there's one set. But it basically incorporates the upstairs and the downstairs, and it's got a landing. So, it's got everything it needs. And it's got Philip Latham shouting at people. That's all that you need, really, for something like that. 200 episodes of men shouting. I don't see anything wrong with this at all.
Wasn't that the Howard's Way formula?
Howard's Way, utterly.
You know, they Howard's Way. Obviously, they have the piece of the theme music, which they also added lyrics to.
Always.
Is there Artie Kane?
No, Marty Webb.
Marty Webb, thank you.
Which they did for East Island.
You get voice from off from now on.
Because the thing with Howard's Way is that Howard, the guy who played Howard in real life, died.
Morris Coburn.
Very young, very sad. The show, keep it fucking running.
Absolutely.
Sunday night, I was used to watch it with my folks.
Yeah. I mean, but I suppose if you've got something as popular as that, your lead actor dying, well, you just end it.
I think it's despicable carrying something on after the most important character's disaster. I think you have to be morally bankrupt.
You do. What sort of bastard does that?
It's all there's absolutely a lack of creativity.
Yes.
Get some special guests in. Jeez. What are they flogging this week?
Oh yeah, James wants to talk about that Luke Besson film that he did earlier. God, James, get over it. It was 2 years ago. Fuck's sake.
So not used.
Dulcie Gray.
Dulcie Gray.
Dulcie Gray
wonderful.
was in Howard's Way.
Oh.
And Michael Denison and Dulcie Gray wrote the most grotesque horror stories. Do you know about this?
No.
Dulcie Gray wrote The Necklace, which ends up with a necklace made of body parts and all manner of things. And some of them are so extreme that even Herbert von Thal didn't put them in the Pan Book of Horrors.
Really?
Yeah, she also adapted, there was a series of books called Roger Moore and the Crime Fighters. Terence Dix wrote one of them, so you'll know it probably from that. The dog is called Dalek.
Yeah.
And it basically, Roger Moore and the Crime Fighters are two kids go on an adventure, and at the end, Roger Moore appears at the final chapter and goes, "Well done." And it's like, you could have put him in more, I think, because you're not actually having to pay for Roger Moore.
No.
Or are you? No. Are you actually going, Roger Moore says you're only allowed for him to appear on page 124? But yeah, Dulcie Gray wrote one of the Roger Moore and the Crime Fighters books as well.
Oh, God. I mean, Dulcie Gray, what I love about her is it seemed that anything that she was in, there was that moment where she must have said, is there anything for Michael? Because he always turns up. He turns up in Howard's Way at series. Anything for Michael? I'm down here a lot. Michael appears. But, I love that.
But they were always, I mean, from the 1940s onwards, they were, normally what I would call the second couple in a film rather than the lead one. That would probably be Stuart Granger, who's one of my least favourite actors.
Why?
I just don't like him. There's something about Stuart Granger. He's fine playing the bad banker in The Wild Geese, but he's one of those, like Richard Todd as well. I'm very much more of what I would call your Robert Donat, your Leslie Howard. And I remember someone once writing about that and saying that there's something about Robert Donat and Leslie Howard and those kind of actors which you don't get with, say, Kenneth More, which is there's still something a bit other about them. Whereas Kenneth Moore's just, come on, old girl, come on, old girl, come on, old girl, come on, old girl. Oh, my legs, come on, old girl. And that's it, right? There's nothing more than that.
Yes.
Well, Robert Donat, if you would sort of look at the very early work that he did when he was just getting into the talkies, and you watch his performances, it could be argued that they're incredibly modern performances because he is so relaxed.
Yes.
Because being on screen, the more relaxed you are, the better you come across. And even if you're playing someone uptight, if you're relaxed while you're playing someone uptight, it sort of plays. But then you compare the people that Robert Donat is playing opposite, who are still sort of playing this melodramatic, silent movie stuff, and their performances with present-day eyes are laughable.
Yeah.
He's standing there with his hand in his pocket looking like George Clooney or Cary Grant in this, hello, darling.
Yeah.
When I kiss a girl, she stays. All but this incredibly relaxed. And that is so difficult to appear relaxed when actually everything is going off around you. To having that presence of mind, to being just in that moment, and this is where I belong, this space is mine.
Is that why so many actors found the transition from soundless to talkies difficult? Because they were doing this very stylized form of performance to make up for the lack of audio?
That, and in parts, I think there was a lot of fear about whether people's voices worked. Because back then you had there was a lot of stage actors, and so certain actors would be absolutely fine because they could hit Rosette. But of course, then you've got people with regional accents, particularly regional American accent. Is that going to play? So some people had reedy voices, and the microphone technology wasn't fabulous by any means. So a lot of well-known actors during the talkies, they had to go and then do vocal tests to see if they could carry on being a star, and many of them didn't. Many of them failed for whatever reason.
Yeah, my son voice that didn't match your physicality too. Or like, hello, hello, going.
But it's
Singing in the rain, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The what I always say to that is,
Where was that storm?
And I said, well, it's just over there. And
So they had Singing in the Rain with obviously Gene Kelly and Make 'em Laugh, Donald O'Connor.
Yeah.
Donald O'Connor, who was in a series of movies about a talking mule.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Francis,
Francis the Talking Mule, which was the film for me that made that I had an epiphany on. 2nd of April 1988, my father died. I had nothing to do with it. So at 14, I was counting. He was unlucky, essentially. I was 12, so it was, obviously relatively traumatic to lose a parent. And there was no support back then. They just went, well, onwards.
Yep.
So in the afternoon, I was absentmindedly watching television back when it was the 4 channels, and you didn't click to change channel. You had to go up and address the television.
Yeah.
And I found myself watching this film about a talking donkey, a talking ass, sort of mule with Donald O'Connor, and I caught myself laughing in the middle of my grief. I'm thinking, how on earth am I laughing? Right, and the worst thing I can imagine has just happened. How am I laughing? I want to do that. That for me was I have a clear memory of that being the moment that I thought, God, this thing that was released 25 years before I was born, 50 years before I was born, don't forget, I thought, took me out of my grief, and I thought, but that's a life well lived, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you could do something to distract or misdirect someone's pain or whatever, what an amazing thing. And that was that film for me.
yeah, I get worried now that your father was meant to be a horse-drawn hearse, but unfortunately I had to use 2 mules, and I couldn't stop giggling because one of them was quite a chatty one.
Yeah, because it was cartoon, it was animated, animated things. Isn't that?
That's lovely.
Yeah, funny, but I have this clear memory. I remember very little about my childhood, aside from the normal things that we all did.
Yeah.
But that is a crystal clear.
See, that's an interesting thing as well, because I think you do have a divide in terms of performers between the narcissistic performer and before the I was going to say, I wasn't going to call you narcissistic, I was going to call you psychopathic. I always love when Robin Williams said that thing about a lot of people who want to make you laugh are people who quite often are emotionally battling, because once and I think some of those stories that came out after he died, once you really do, and people always think, oh god, that sounds a little bit like kind of, but to me it's the best thing is to go, oh, someone is happier at the end of this performance, someone is, someone feels better about their life, exactly what you were saying, and which is, and I often wonder that myself when I think about why I get, that bit of going, oh shit, life can be really, really terrible and horrible things happen. And it's a narrative you never know. I think it's something you can do in hindsight very often is go, oh, I see this path, and it gets clearer.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very beautiful story.
Well, I do a musical show. Obviously, I don't sing because I can't. And one of the things I say at the end of the show is, I don't have any religion because I'm an adult. Don't buy sin. I don't. And I say the whole point of life, certainly as I see it, is to leave this place ever so slightly better than it was when we arrived. And we're going to do that through the medium of love our friends, love our family. And if we're so fortunate, and I pick up Bella in the second row, you give them a wink and say, and if we're so fortunate, love our lovers. To me, that's the whole point. If everybody makes the world a little bit better by smiling at someone or just putting a little bit of pleasance in the air, but also remembering that being kind also encompasses both hearing and saying the word no. That's as kind as saying yes to everyone.
Yeah.
Then maybe, just maybe, I'll work again. For me, it's the smallest thing. We all go through issues in our lives, and that's all fine and good. But if for the most part, sometimes you walk past someone and we don't really look at people or make eye contact, and you see someone look in someone's eye, and you say morning, and they go morning, and you get a little sense of a warm feeling, almost like you pissed yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people should piss themselves more. That's what I'm.
See, it's interesting though. You've done a thing there, which is exactly what I was thinking. Which is we become so aware that we're saying something sincere.
Oh,
because like the number of jokes in my head when you were saying that, all of which I'm now old enough to dismiss, because you go, it is fine to talk about the importance of love and connection, whatever. But there is always going, where's the banter joke? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think you have to temper it because it's a release, isn't it?
Where's the Marty Feldman thing that I'm sure I've told you this story. I know you've read the book actually, Marty, haven't you?
Yes.
And when Marty Feldman was dying and Graham Chapman was giving him CPR, Graham Chapman said one of the last things he said was, "Please tell my wife that I'm so glad that I met her, because it meant I never had to put my thing in anyone else." And that's like such a great double whammy of sincerity of love she would have known, and then the fact that he also felt the need for maybe little punchlines with, and he's dying, and that's
I think it's the same with Jack Lemmon's tombstone, isn't it?
Yes.
Jack Lemmon in.
Yeah,
and that's perfection.
Well, here we are back in the shed at the end of another ramble. And gentlemen, we've had our two guests today. We've had James and Robin. Thank you. Have you enjoyed our ramble?
Yes.
Good. I was concerned for a
I feel sad that we didn't have quite as much Paleo-Siberian Dravidian nuts as we should have done. No. I now know that I have to go back and do some work for the next time. What number was that again that came up?
Oh,
never mind now.
Yeah.
I've been kidnapped. Please help me. I have a family, and I'd like to see them again. And
We've kidnapped him. Please help us. Please pay the ransom soon. It's awful here.
He's eating us out of house now. It's £15. Come on. It's £15.
Well, thank you all for listening at home, and we really hope that you enjoyed this week's meeting of the Rambling Club.
The club meets every Friday, but if you'd like to get in touch in the meantime, here's how you can find your fellow members.
The show's official website is at www.tonyslattery.com, and you can get in touch with us on the contact form on that website.
And we're at Twitter at SlatteryLive. Please feel free to use the hashtag TSRC to discuss any of this week's utterly incomprehensible topics.
You can find me on the remnants of Twitter at Paul Carmichael V, but I'm also on Blue Sky, as is the show, so you can find Slattery Live there as well.
Now, Tony also has a Facebook group at www.facebook.com/groups/the Tony Slattery for all you dial-up fans.
And he's on Instagram at Tony_Slattery_official.
But one of our guests, have you any social media special guests?
James, how can people track you down if they wish to?
He's still on Bebo.
Vic Stain.
Social media? Yes, I have that, yes. Something along the lines of Mr. James Payton or The James Payton. The documentary Who is James Payton, that you can learn more about my somewhat ridiculous life back in 2019, is available on Amazon Prime, and they're available for weddings in case you want to get married. Yes, I'm talking to you if you want to get married. I assume we should do that.
And Robin, how do we find you?
Oh, I'm on Blue Sky and then Robin Ince 1969 at Instagram. And I'm just going to add something. I don't know how. I know there's a conceit and all this kind of thing, but I wanted to say, because when I did this show, whatever it was, like October, November, and one of the things when Tony died, and I think I mentioned this to Allan early on, which was the first thing I thought was, but we haven't finished talking. And so I just wanted to know, because Tony died not long after another friend of mine, Darryl Bullock, brilliant writer on LGBT music, and both of them, very similar ways, very sudden, and both of them, even though you didn't see them very often, when you did, the conversation would start straight away, and you go off and wherever,